Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It is Wednesday, December 30th, Week 17 in the NFL. Always a very quirky, interesting week in the NFL, and oftentimes a week where there can be a unique and sometimes a big, generous betting value on some of the lines. We are going to discuss NFL Week 17 right now with professional sports bettor Teddy Covers. All right, Teddy Covers, we got Week 17 in the NFL. Well, there's a bunch of things I'm thinking about, a couple of bets that I've made pretty big, actually. Let's start with you. What's your best bet of the week as of right now as we sit here on Wednesday?
Yeah, well, something that stands out to me certainly is the Lions catching a point at Chicago.
Yeah.
And there's a number of different factors here, but certainly for Detroit, this team cares about saving their coach's job. They like Jim Caldwell. I like Jim Caldwell. I know the markets hate Jim Caldwell and the fans hate Jim Caldwell. I thought it was a perfect coach for this team. Remember, Lions had one playoff appearance in 13 years before Caldwell got there. He took them to 11 wins last year. And this year, they've gotten screwed more than once. You remember the Seahawks game, you remember the Packers game. This team would be in playoff contention right now if it wasn't for those two losses. I'm a Caldwell believer, and more importantly, the Lions are Caldwell believers. And I don't know that he needs the win to save his job. I don't know the win is definitely going to save his job, even if they get it. But the players, every player quote is, hey, we want Jim Caldwell back. I expect max effort from Detroit this week. And in Week 17, that's something you really look for.
Yeah, and also Matt Stafford has really flourished with the new offensive coordinator. And Chicago, good program, well-coached team. I'm just not sure they have the personnel to do it this week. I'm agreeing with you. That's how I was leaning as well, Teddy Covers. All right, a lot of interesting games. Can I ask you about a couple of others that I'm thinking about this week personally?
Absolutely not. No way.
All right.
Of course.
Thanks so much. The first thing, of course, I have to ask you about. Before the recent firing of Chip Kelly, I was already leaning Giants -3, and I previewed this game with another capper before that news came out. And now, of course, Chip Kelly fired. Line hasn't moved on that news, though. What do you think about the Giants -3, and what do you think the impact might be of the firing of Chip Kelly?
My gut reaction immediately after the firing, I started looking to see what I could find for Philadelphia and some players' quotes. My gut reaction was take a look at the Eagles plus the points.
Really?
Not that enthusiastic. The preliminary research didn't tell me that Philadelphia is going to show for Shermer this week. And I'm fairly convinced that the Giants, the Coughlin's the home finale here is meaningful for them. So those two factors in correlation with one another won't have me on the Eagles, but I'm not going to bet against a team that just had their coach fired. Okay. Especially a coach that, didn't exactly have the locker room in his favor for a good portion of the season. That tends to be a positive thing, not a negative thing. Look no further than the Dolphins earlier this year, or, any of the other handful of teams that let a coach go and got a little bump as a result. Meaningless game for both teams. The Giants likely to show for Coughlin, but like I said, I was looking for those Philly quotes. I didn't find them. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop looking. My lean, and it's just a lean right now, is towards the Eagles plus the points, especially if the line goes up to 3.5.
Okay, fair enough. And then another home finale I want to ask you about, the Atlanta Falcons, right? They had 9 straight ATS losses, then 2 nice ATS covers. I had them last week against Carolina, and of course the Saints won their home finale with a gutsy performance from Drew Brees. Now they have to come back here on the road for Week 17, and I'm not sure about this, how I'm thinking. I'm just feeling it out. That's why I'm asking you. Maybe Atlanta giving 4 is a good bet?
That was my gut off the opener. I haven't found anything since then to make me excited about the Falcons. And of course, I do the same process every single week. Sunday night, I make my lines before the lines come out. Then I check the lines as they're coming out. I may make a couple of bets right off the get-go. But from there, usually by Monday morning, I'll have what I call my short list. Sometimes, some weeks it's 2 or 3 games. Some weeks it's 8 or 9 games. But games that have interested me, have peaked, that I think I may have an edge, I'll circle some sides, and then I'll do the research on those games as the week progresses to see what you can find from local sources, from sources around the locker room that'll give you the information that tends to produce winners. And when it comes to Atlanta this week, I've been trying to gauge, okay, they beat Carolina last week. Are they a fat and happy team now, or are they a super hungry team now? You talked about how much better the Lions are with, Jim Bob Cooter at quarterback, and that's, Stafford, 16-2 touchdown to interception ratio since Cooter took over. You want to look at some weird stats? Look at Drew Brees' home versus road this year. That home-road dichotomy is amazing. At home, his QB rating is like 120. He's the best quarterback in the league. On the road, he's thrown 8 touchdown passes all year. He just hasn't been the same guy.
Right.
So if I can find something from Atlanta that says, hey, we're interested, we're motivated, I would certainly look towards the Falcons side. I just haven't found that information yet.
Okay, and then one more play I'm liking. Tell me what you think about this one. New England, Miami. Very interesting matchup here, right? Miami, obviously a disaster. They can't run, they can't pass, they can't defend the run, they can't defend the pass, and that's really all there is in football, right? Complete disaster. They've lost a bunch of games in a row ATS. And then New England, with a win, they get the number 1 seed, but they're looking like one of the weakest number 1 seeds in recent memory. And we got a pretty high total here, 47. I'm seeing the Greek has 47.5. I was thinking maybe a shot with the under, right? I'm thinking we're going to see conservative game plan from New England, just an average conservative game plan from Miami, just wrap the season up. But what do you think about a shot with the under 47?
I already have some under 48 in my pocket.
Aha.
That being said, even at 47, that's the only way I could look in this game. Really, Miami, as you saw last week, a backup center matters. When you take a Pro Bowler out from the starting center and you bring the rookie in, it cost him the game, obviously, last week when the center forgot what the snap count was on, 4th down in the closing seconds. Oops. But when you look at New England's offense, I mean, it's one thing. I've seen Brady succeed behind weak offensive lines. He takes these quick 3-step drops, the ball's out of his hand in 2 seconds, and he's throwing the passes to his possession receivers. Oops, Edelman's hurt, Amendola's hurt. He doesn't have the possession receivers. They have no running backs, no offensive line, no receivers.
Right.
That's a problem, even for Tom Brady. I'm with you. Dolphins, Patriots under is in my pocket, and it's a play that I've given out to my clients as well.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks so much, Teddy Covers, NFL Week 17. I think we got it.